Hello and welcome into another NASCAR Cup Series Rewind show, the second one for this week right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host, Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, consider going down below to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. On today's Cup Series Rewind show, we're going to talk about the second Darlington race in 4 days, the Toyota 500K from Darlington Raceway. This one, I wasn't even sure we were going to get this one in tonight, but somehow we got enough break in the rain that we actually got the majority of the race in. I think we only missed about like 20 laps or so at the end of the race before it started raining, so we got a lot more of this race in tonight than I thought we were going to. And it had a lot of drama in it. Let me tell you, we are going to get to that in due time here. But first, as we always do, we are going to talk about the caution flags in this race because there were a lot of them. There were more in this race than there were on the Sunday edition from Darlington. There were 11 caution flags in this race for a total of 54 laps. Started off early, not quite as early as they did on Sunday. Lap number 4. John Hunter Nemechek spun in turn number 4 to bring out the first caution. Really hurt to see that one as he had such a good run on Sunday, but his bad luck started very early in this race. Lap number 12, John Hunter Nemechek spins again on the backstretch, and this just set up an absolutely terrible day for the driver of that 38 car. Competition caution lap number 25, same as Sunday. Get adjustments made and that sort of thing since we didn't have any practice. And that would be the final caution of Stage 1 as that ended at lap number 60 with Clint Boyer taking the Stage 1 victory. Clint Boyer was a rocket ship early on in this race. He was so fast. I thought he was going to have a very good shot to win at the end of this race. Lap number 73, Michael McDowell and Chris Buescher get together in turn 2. Lap 83. The 47 of Ricky Stenhouse spins in turn 2, his second incident in as many races at Darlington. Lap 109, the 41 of Cole Custer wrecks in turn 2, and Stage 2 concluded at lap 125 with Clint Boyer taking the Stage 2 victory as well. Very fast start to the night for Clint Boyer. Would he be able to cap it off and get win number 1 for the 2020 season? 3 caution flags in the final stage. First one at lap 180 as Matt Kenseth spun in turn 2 with a flat tire. That was a real heartbreaker. He had another good night going in this race just like he did on Sunday. Lap 196. Clint Boyer looped it in turn number 3. That would be the end of his competitive night. That one hurt to see as well as he had such a good night going and unfortunately was not able to finish it off. Final caution of the night came at lap number 202 between Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott. Down the front stretch, Elliott had a run on the outside of Busch, passed him for second. Busch claims that he misjudged the hole, was trying to slide up in there in front of Harvick so that he didn't lose any more positions than he had to, misjudged the hole, and turns Chase Elliott into the inside wall. Kyle claims he misjudged the hole. You can make whatever judgment you want to make, but I find it hard to believe he misjudged that hole by a lot if he misjudged it. I can understand misjudging it by just a little bit and just tapping the car that you're missing. Usually in that scenario, if you misjudge that hole, you're not going to wreck that car. You're not going to hit them hard enough to where you wreck them. But Kyle almost hit him in the left rear tire. That's how much he misjudged this gap. And I'll give Kyle credit. He did apologize in his post-race interview, but it was such a half-hearted, kind of brushing it off kind of apology that I feel like you could only get from Kyle Busch, to be completely honest. I didn't feel like he was being totally sincere. And it came off as one of those things where he knew what it looked like, and there was no way he could brush it off as not being his fault. He knew he had to apologize, but at the same time, he really didn't feel bad about it. It did feel like, though, he knew he had payback coming, and Chase's reaction was interesting. The social distancing fight, I guess you could call it. He didn't actually fight him. He just kind of gave Kyle the bird as he came through 1 and 2. So it'll be interesting to see if Chase actually gives him some payback. Chase has done that in the past. Remember Denny Hamlin at Phoenix a couple of years ago, the around goes the 24 incident at Martinsville. So Chase has given payback in the past. I feel like this is an incident where he is going to give payback. It just depends on where. Just a very weird incident. And I have a hard time believing, as talented as Kyle Busch is, one, that he would misjudge the hole at all, and two, that he would misjudge the hole by as much as he did. That just seemed like a very amateur move if he really was misjudging it. And I think, call Kyle whatever you want for his personality. He's a very talented driver, quite possibly, arguably, the most talented driver in the Cup Series right now. Again, arguably, you may have your own opinion on that. But as talented as he is, I have a very hard time believing he misses that hole by that much. No matter whether he looked in the mirror to see how close Harvick was or not, I just have a hard time believing that. Was it intentional? I don't know. I don't necessarily want to call it intentional, but at the same time, it didn't look unintentional. I'll put it that way. So make your own judgments on what that whole incident was. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think about that? Was that what was your opinion on the Kyle Busch Chase Elliott incident at the end of this race? That would be the final caution of the race. It started raining during that caution, and that would be the end of the race. Lap leaders on the night, we had 17 lead changes among 13 drivers. No driver spent a lot of time out front in this race. Clint Boyer spent the most time out front with 71 laps led. Chase Elliott was the next most with 28. Eric Jones led 27 laps. He had a fast car in the late portions of this race. 12 laps spent out front by Denny Hamlin. 19 laps went to Joey Logano. 10 laps led by Kevin Harvick. Then a whole slew of drivers with single-digit laps led in this race. So Clint Boyer led the most laps and won both stages, but remember, he had that incident late in the race. Chase Elliott led the next most amount of laps, but he had his incident with Kyle Busch at the end of this race. Eric Jones had a fast car, led a lot of laps in this race. Denny Hamlin led 12 laps. Kevin Harvick led 10. Martin Truex led 16 laps. We had a lot of drivers spent a few laps out front in this race. Nobody really dominated this race. So who would come away with the victory in the Toyota 500? It would be Denny Hamlin picking up his second win of the 2020 season, his first since the Daytona 500. After leading only 12 laps in this race, he was able to pick up the W in this one over his teammate Kyle Busch, who ended up in the second position after that Chase Elliott incident late in the race. Kevin Harvick came home in the third position after winning Sunday's race from the Darlington Raceway, so a good couple of races here in a row for Kevin Harvick. He's definitely building some momentum that keeps his streak alive of being the only driver to finish in the top 10 every race so far this season. Brad Keselowski came home in fourth. He had a fast car on the day. And then Eric Jones faded late but did come home with a fifth place finish. Rest of your top 10 were Joey Logano, Eric Almirola, Jimmy Johnson rebounded. He really wasn't that fast most of the day. Really never was able to rebound from that 37th starting position. Finally did break into the top 10 late in the race and came home with a respectable 8th place finish. Matt DiBenedetto came home in 9th, and Martin Truex Jr. rounded out the top 10. 11th through 20th, Christopher Bell there in 11th, highest finishing rookie in the race. William Byron in 12th. Tyler Reddick, another respectable run for a rookie there in 13th. Ryan Newman landed in the 14th position. Bubba Wallace there in 16th. Alex Bowman was fast early in this race. Never led a lap, but definitely looked like, at least early on, had as fast of a car as he had on Sunday. Faded late, though, and ended up in the 18th position. 21st through 30th. Ryan Blaney was also fast early in this race, but he ended up fading throughout the night, came home 21st. Clint Boyer, after having such a fast car early in this race, had his incident late and came home in the 22nd position. Ricky Stenhouse, after his incident, 25th. Final page And Matt Kenseth down here in the 30th position after his incident late in the night. 31st through 39th, Cole Custer came home in 31st. John Hunter Nemechek, such a disappointing night for him after such a strong run on Sunday. He landed in the 35th position. Chase Elliott ended up 38th after only one car being out of the race before that final caution, that being Ryan Preece in 39th after an engine issue on lap number 69. All right, so that is your results from the Toyota 500. So we will head over to, I figured out on Sunday that they apparently are doing the post-race media center stuff over Zoom calls. So I was able to track that down. So we should have post-race thoughts, I believe, from the top three finishers here via Zoom call recordings for you right now. So let's find out what their thoughts were after this race.
Yeah, we had to start 20th and battled, kind of an ill-balanced car tonight. The track conditions were just a lot different. We made some adjustments going into the race and just, couldn't get the front of the car to turn. And every time we tried to adjust the back, it would just take the back out. We never could get the front of the car to turn. Had to use a lot more throttle tonight and the things I could do with the car Sunday just I couldn't do tonight. So they kept clawing and fighting, and in the end we had a great pit stop on the last pit stop, and we're in position to have a chance to win the race there, and it rained, but the whole night we wound up restarting on the bottom of the racetrack, and we'd lose 3 or 4 spots every time we'd restart. So we definitely didn't get the good end of the draw on the restarts, but in the end our Mobil 1 guys did a great job of just battling, and sometimes you have great nights and sometimes you have nights you have to battle, and it was a good 2 days in Darlington for us.
It was kind of like the other night where we had an up and down night. Didn't get into fence tonight, so it kind of seemed like it was trying to progress forward the whole night, and we didn't get in the wall, so it didn't set us back. We didn't have loose wheels, so it didn't set us back. We were just able to continually, steadily keep climbing up towards the front, and had a good top 5 run going there, and that's kind of where we ended up.
How do you convince Chase's fans that this was just a mistake?
You don't. You don't. I can say whatever I can say, and I've never been a very good politician anyways, but his fan base is going to have the hatred to me anyways, and I just deal with what I got to deal with, and Rowdy Nation will have my back, and we'll go after it after that.
Well, it was obviously different for a lot of reasons. Wednesday night, and we had rain, and ended up being a rain-shortened race, and it's a shorter race than a Cup race would normally be here at Darlington. So strategy was a little bit different than normal. There was a lot of things that were different, and because it was a night race, track had a lot of grips, so Darlington didn't fall off quite like it normally does, and tires didn't mean quite as much. So there was a lot of things different about it, but one thing that was consistent, we had a really fast car, drove really good, and Denny's obviously really good here. So fortunately, we were able to get him to the front, and we were really fast once we got there, and had some rain break our way at the end.
Yeah, it was good. We just were really good all day, all night, or whatever. Just we made really good adjustments between the 2 races, and really worked hard to get our car a little bit better than what it was here on Sunday, and really things just kind of worked out. We got that long green flag run where we made up a lot of track position. I don't know where we restarted, but we certainly made up a lot of spots, and got to pretty close to Chase there before the caution came out. We was just going to be a few laps before we overtook him, but at that point, then Brad stays out, 4 cars on the lead lap. I thought the right strategy, since the 15 was in the mix, I thought the strategy, you wanted to be on the outside on restarts anyway, so I wanted to come out of pit road last. That way I had fresh tires over Chase, who stayed out there and had 2-lap tires. And at that point on, another caution comes. We decided to stay out because we had just taken tires, and we didn't have enough tires left. So we were trying to re-glue those tires that had 2 laps on them, and wasn't able to get them glued up in time for us to pit. So we decided to stay out, and it was the right call.
All right, and that's your post-race thoughts following the Toyota 500. Let's take a quick look at the playoff grid following this race. Still only 4 winners on the season. Denny Hamlin jumps to the top of the playoff grid now with his 2 race wins and 11 playoff points, joining Joey Logano in the 2 winners club. Kevin Harvick and Alex Bowman still in the 1-win club. Down near the bottom of the playoff grid, William Byron has now moved his way into the top 16 in points and into the playoff grid. Tyler Reddick, though, right there behind him, only 4 points out. A very strong start to the season for Tyler Reddick. Are we really surprised, though, as good as he was in the Xfinity Series? I know RCR's Cup equipment may not have been quite up to snuff over the past couple of years, but I think Tyler Reddick is really overperforming in that stuff right now, and we may see Tyler Reddick in the playoffs before all is said and done this season. Bubba Wallace not very far out either. He's only 5 points out there in the 18th position. And then Chris Buescher and Austin Dillon not very far back there in 19th and 20th as well. But that's your playoff grid following the Toyota 500, and I believe that will do it for us on this NASCAR Cup Series Rewind show. Diecast review coming up, I guess it'll technically be today by the time this goes up, on Thursday at noon. It'll be another Kyle Busch Xfinity Series win. Probably not the best time to do a Kyle Busch win, because I don't feel like sentiment toward Kyle Busch is probably very good right now, but it is a cool looking car nonetheless, so definitely you want to check that out today at noon right here on RNN as well. Coming up this weekend, we will obviously have a Coke 600 Rewind show on Sunday, as well as a Wreckfest stream on Sunday as well. That'll be Sunday at, should be at noon. May push it back a little bit from that. We will see what happens with that. Then, of course, NASCAR Heat 4 next Wednesday, stream at 5 o'clock as usual. And all kinds of other stuff, of course, coming up for you throughout the week that you'll want to keep an eye out for. So, if you haven't done it already, you need to go down below, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. While you're down there, I want you to hit that big thumbs up button for me if you like the video. It is much appreciated when you do. But at that, this has been the NASCAR Cup Series Rewind Show. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.